Every story of betrayal begins with trust, and this one is no different. Alex was a young man with a heart full of dreams. His world revolved around one person, Sarah. To him, she was more than just love. She was his future, his reason to fight, his hope when life got tough. By his side was David, his best friend, his brother in everything but blood. They shared secrets, victories, and failures. Alex trusted David with every detail of his life, especially when it came to Sarah. Late at night, Alex would whisper his dreams to David, how he planned to propose, how he imagined building a home with Sarah. And David would listen, nodding with a smile, offering advice like a true friend. What Alex didn't know was that the same friend he trusted with his heart was quietly planning to break it. Days turned into weeks, and something began to change. Her calls grew shorter, her messages less frequent, her smile a little more distant. At first, Alex told himself it was just stress, just a busy schedule, nothing to worry about. Love, he believed, could survive small storms. So he waited, patient and hopeful, trusting that things would soon return to normal. But deep inside, a quiet fear began to grow. He replayed every moment in his head, searching for answers. Did he say something wrong? Did she lose interest? Or was it something else entirely? The silence between them grew heavier with each passing day. And while Alex struggled to hold on, he didn't realize that the ground beneath his feet was already beginning to crumble. One evening, as the sun sank behind the city, Alex found an envelope slipped beneath his door. His heart skipped when he saw Sarah's handwriting across the front. For a moment, hope flickered. Maybe this was her way of reaching out. Maybe it was an apology, a chance to start again. With trembling hands, he tore it open. Inside was a wedding invitation. His eyes scanned the words, and his chest tightened. Sarah was getting married. He could barely breathe as he searched for the groom's name, and when he saw it, his world collapsed in silence. It wasn't a stranger. The friend who knew every secret of his heart. Alex dropped the invitation to the floor, his hands shaking, his mind drowning in disbelief. In that moment, he realized the two people he trusted most had chosen each other and left him behind. Memories rushed through Alex's mind like a storm. Every late-night talk, every moment of trust, every smile David had given him, it all felt poisoned now. The advice, the comfort, the listening ear. None of it was real. David hadn't just been a friend, he had been a thief, stealing the very love Alex lived for. Alex thought about Sarah too. The laughter they once shared, the promises whispered under the stars, the dreams they painted together. All of it shattered in a single instant. She had chosen someone else. The betrayal cut deeper than words could describe. It wasn't just the loss of love, it was the loss of trust, the loss of friendship, the loss of everything he thought unbreakable. And as Alex sat in the silence of his room, holding the torn invitation in his hands, one truth echoed louder than the beating of his heart. He had been betrayed by the only two people he thought would never hurt him. Alex didn't want to go, but some part of him needed to see it with his own eyes, to believe that it was truly happening. He stood at the back of the hall, unnoticed in the crowd. The music played softly, the guests smiled, and Sarah walked down the aisle in her white dress, glowing with joy. Every step she took felt like a dagger piercing Alex's chest. The same man who once laughed with him, who once called him a brother, was now holding the hand of the woman Alex had loved with all his heart. Tears filled his eyes, but he refused to let them fall. He wanted to scream, to stop the ceremony, to demand answers. But his voice was trapped in his throat. All around him, people clapped and cheered, but for Alex, the world had gone silent. He stood there like a ghost among the living, drowning in a pain so deep it felt endless. Alex stood frozen at the back of the hall, his heart pounding louder than the wedding music. The ceremony was unfolding before his eyes, but his mind was lost in a storm of thoughts. He felt torn apart by two voices inside him. One screamed for revenge, urging him to stand up, shout the truth, and destroy their happiness as they had destroyed his. The other whispered for silence, reminding him that nothing he said or did could undo what had already been done. He looked at Sarah, radiant in her wedding dress. Once upon a time, he believed he was her forever. And now, without a word, she was giving that forever to another man, his best friend. His gaze shifted to David. David was smiling, proud and unshaken, as if nothing in the world could touch him. Alex felt his fists tighten. He imagined walking down the aisle, exposing the lies, telling everyone how David had stolen Sarah behind his back. He imagined the shock on their faces, the whispers in the crowd, the shame on David's face. For a brief moment, he tasted the satisfaction of revenge. But then, another thought struck him. What would it change? Would exposing them bring Sarah back to him? Would it erase the betrayal? Or heal the wounds in his heart? Or would it only make him look desperate, broken, and bitter? The questions weighed heavy on him. His chest tightened, his eyes burned, his whole body felt as though it was trapped between fire and ice. He thought of all the nights he had planned a future with Sarah. Both had betrayed him in ways he could never forget. And yet, the choice was his, not theirs. He closed his eyes for a moment, and a memory of his mother's words long ago. True strength is not in destroying others, Alex. It's in choosing peace when you have every reason to choose war. Those words cut through the chaos in his mind. His fists loosened. His breath steadied. The fire inside him began to fade, leaving behind something unexpected clarity. Revenge would only chain him to the pain forever. Silence, however, would set him free. And so, as Sarah and David said their vows, Alex turned away. He walked out of the hall, the sound of applause and cheers fading behind him. Each step he took felt heavy, but also strangely powerful. He was not leaving as a loser. He was leaving as a man who refused to let betrayal define him. And in that choice, he discovered a truth he had never known before sometimes. The greatest revenge is not in destroying someone else. Happiness! But in walking away to rebuild your own. The night of the wedding became the darkest night of Alex's life, but it was also the night he chose a different path. Walking out of that hall wasn't easy. His heart was torn, his soul heavy, and the silence around him felt colder than ever before. Yet, with every step away from the celebration, he felt a small piece of freedom return to him. In the days that followed, the pain didn't vanish. It lingered like a shadow, haunting him in quiet moments. He would wake up and for a split second forget, only to remember again that Sarah was gone and David was no longer his brother. Nights were harder. Sleep came slowly, if at all, and memories replayed in his mind like an endless film. But slowly, something inside him began to shift. Alex realized that holding on to anger was like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. He could either drown in bitterness or rise above it. And though the choice was hard, he decided to rise. He threw himself into rebuilding his life. He focused on his work, his passions, his health. He reconnected with old friends who truly cared for him. Each new experience stitched a part of his broken heart back together. Months turned into years, and little by little, the pain dulled. What once felt like an open wound slowly became a scar, something he could still feel, but no longer something that controlled him. And then, one ordinary day, Alex met someone new. It wasn't planned. It wasn't forced. It was simple, unexpected, and real. This new person didn't just see his smile. They saw his scars, his past, his pain, and they loved him not despite it, but because of it. For the first time in years, Alex felt whole again. He realized that love doesn't always come in the form we expect. Sometimes the heartbreak we think will destroy us is the very thing that clears the path for a love that is truer, deeper, and everlasting. Looking back, Alex no longer wished to erase the betrayal. He no longer wanted revenge. Instead, he saw it as the turning point of his life, the moment that forced him to grow, to rise, to become stronger than he ever thought possible. And so, his story carried a lesson. People may betray you, break you, abandon you, but that does not mean your story ends there. Sometimes, The betrayal that nearly destroys you is the very beginning of something far greater than you ever imagined. Because in the end, Alex learned that the best revenge is not anger, not hatred, not destruction. The best revenge is happiness.